Hey guys, this is Kyle at ProjectionHub, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can do a basic market feasibility report all on your own. So if you are planning to probably start a business, and especially if you're going to be trying to apply for financing or something like that, this is probably something you're going to want to do. Basically, do you want to determine if a potential community or a location is ideal for the business you're trying to start or to open? And I'm going to show you how you can accomplish that, on your own and very affordably or even free, so that you can feel confident in the location and in a business being able to support, or the location being able to support your business so that you can use that. So like I mentioned, my name is Kyle at ProjectionHub. I lead our custom business plan writing services here. And so I have written hundreds of business plans. And before that, I was an SBA loan officer. And so I was actually reviewing business plans and loan applications for people starting businesses, buying businesses, growing businesses. And so I'm going to be kind of using those experience and some of the tools I use when I'm writing a business plan to show you how to do this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, here we go. Okay, so I have pulled up here for you, as I mentioned, a basic market feasibility report. And as you can tell, it's not like some sort of specially designed document. It's mainly, us going out and doing a few components of research to try and come up with data to support, like, is a location going to be ideal for business? Now, that would probably make sense that this is more commonly going to be used for something that has some sort of a physical presence. So a retail business is going to be very common, or one that's going to be drawing from a customer base that's, local or within some radius. So this one, for example, is a laundromat. That's a really common example. Self-storage, restaurants, all kinds of businesses like that are going to be good for that. And so, yeah, I'm going to kind of show you here when I'm putting together reports like this, and when I'm doing this for, business plan market research, or even just doing market feasibility for some other people. There's a few key things that I kind of want to check. Now, the most important thing to mention early on is that the information that's going to be most valuable when you do this is going to differ a little bit depending upon what type of business you're starting. So there's going to be some type of information out there, and what might demonstrate demand, or, an ideal group of people is going to adjust a little bit depending upon your industry, because there are some industries that have specific markers that you would want to look for. So some of the things I like to look for are going to be demographic presence. So, first identifying, like, what does your ideal kind of customer base look like? And can we make sure that they exist in your target location? We want to look at competitive landscape. So is it saturated? Is there an opportunity? Is there a strength there? We want to look at demand. So can we identify some sort of need or shortage, or people searching for the business you want to offer? Because that would indicate, there's demand in the area. Can we look at some foot traffic or data of competitors to demonstrate, is there a growing amount of traffic to them, or even decreasing? Both can be supportive, right? If it's decreasing, that might represent an opportunity for your business. If it's increasing, that might mean, like, hey, more people are just going to these type of businesses in the area. So we can really make the numbers work for us. And I'm just going to show you some of the sources that I would look at to pull those things together. So let's use this as an example. We're looking at Midland, Texas, and if this location would be a good idea for a laundromat. So I'm going to kind of run you through some of the tools that we would do. So first things first, this is a free tool. You can go to censusreporter.org, and this is using U.S. Census data. So it's going to be pretty reliable when you're looking for this type of stuff. And you can search by city, you can search by county, you can search by state. So we're going to go over to Midland, Texas, so we can see a nice snapshot here, right? So it's going to put on a map for us. We're going to get some population data. Most importantly, we're going to get some really great demographic data. Now, again, this is a laundromat. And so one thing about laundromats is there's some very key demographic markers to look for. So you want to see a high proponent or a portion of people in the community who are renting, right? So people who are, like, renting in an apartment or something like that. More often are using a laundromat for those types of services. If you're a homeowner, you probably have, washing machines and stuff in your house, right? So we want to see a higher number of people in that community, or higher percentage that are renters, that would, match with that. Some other markers might be income data, right? If a community has a slightly lower median household income, that might also represent communities where there's more people using laundromat services. So that's not my opinion on the matter. That just is how the data shakes out. So one thing you probably want to do if you're considering doing this, if you're saying, well, I don't really know who the target demographic is for my business, that's probably the first thing you want to figure out. I would go and use a tool like Gemini, use a tool like ChatGPT, and ask it, what are some of the ideal demographic markers or qualities in a specific area or location for my type of business, and find out what those are going to be. What's an ideal income range? Some other markers like that. And then you can use a tool like this to identify that, right? So we can see that income data. We can see, where is it at? Unit occupancy, occupied versus vacant. Here's renter occupied. So 35%. And you can see it when I hover over that, you can see in that little box there, it says about 10% higher than the rate in Midland, Texas metro area, and about 90% of the rate in the state overall. You can kind of compare that. If you're comparing more than one location, you might want to think about the one that has a higher percentage of renter occupied. So that's an example of that. You can grab some snapshots from this, put that in your report. Jumping back over here, some other things. Okay, so competitive landscape. Another thing you probably want to establish, and again, you can use Gemini or ChatGPT or something like this to get a quick answer. And that's going to be, ask it roughly how many people does it take to support one additional unit of your type of business. Another way to ask that question might be, how many laundromats can a population of X realistically support? So we know Midland, Texas is 133,000 people, 76 square miles. So you probably want to figure out like how far are people really willing to drive for a specific type of service in that area. So in this case, we found within 3 miles of this specific location that there was 4 competitors in that location. Yeah, within a 3-mile radius, there was 4 laundromats. We did some research to find out roughly, I think I want to say it was roughly 10,000 per laundromat is recommended. And the numbers shook out to be 16,000 here. So that would be supportive of it. It's not oversaturated. So that's just looking at by the numbers. But then you can also look at, okay, so let's say there's 6 in an area, or it's a small community and there's only 1 other laundromat. But you go and look at it and they have really poor reviews. Okay, so that's a second angle you can look at it. It might be feasible because, hey, there's some competition, but the competition isn't very good. They're underserving their customer base. People are upset. There's a real opportunity to come in and disrupt that. So that's an angle you want to look at. So we've looked at demographics. We've looked at the number of competitors. We looked at the quality of the competitors. And then a really big one that I like to do is this local demand. I think this is kind of a secret weapon. So you can go and make a free Google AdWords account. Now, it's been a while since I've created that account. I know it's free. I'm not sure the hoops you got to jump through in order to get to this type of feature. But then you'll be able to come over to tools, and then you can go to research, and it's the keyword planning tool. You come into this discover new keywords. And essentially, I can type in things like laundromat near me, coin laundry near me, right? So representing what would my target customer be searching for. I can switch the location that I want to look at. So let's do Midland, Texas. That's going to be a slightly bigger area than we probably want. But we're still going to use that. And then I can search, and we're going to be able to see some information here about some trend data, essentially. So one of the things we're really looking for is this year-over-year change. So year-over-year, laundromat near me, 23% increase in people searching for that phrase. If you see this number is the same, that means it's kind of lumping those searches together. So if we go down to 590, that's roughly flat. Washateria near me, so Spanish-speaking individual searching for that, 22% year-over-year increase. So that's a type of positive thing you want to see, right? So if you go, you set the parameters to your specific location, you put in up to 10 keywords that match what your target customer's intent might be, and then we see, is that number going up? Because that's an indication that there's increasing demand. There's more people this year than there were last year searching for that type of phrase. That's another positive indicator. And then this last one here is visit to competitors. So I use a tool called AlphaMap. This is not a free tool. The other tools I've shown you have been free. So Gemini, ChatGPT, Google Keyword Planner tool, this demographic Census Reporter, those are all free. This one here is a kind of a cherry on top. You can go to specific businesses and see what the foot traffic number of visits to that location has been. So you can kind of get an indication of, is there a growing interest in this business, or is there decreasing? So that's kind of another additional level. The last thing I'll mention is there are some industries out there. So in this case, I'm going to show you like event venues or wedding venue or childcare centers. There are some custom or unique sets of data for specific industries that you can get some nice insights. So for this one, this wedding market, so let's say you're opening a wedding venue and you want to know, like, is my county or city a good fit for this? You can go and you can find out, how many weddings are happening and how does that rank kind of nationally right here. So in 2024, Hancock, Indiana, which is a county, hosted this number of weddings and ranking at this amount. And here's the average, what the average wedding cost was. So that could be some supportive data to put in there. Here's another tool. This is countyhealthrankings.org. And this is the number of child care centers per 1,000 people in a county. So you might be able to go to your town, to your state or your city and see what counties where there's not enough daycare support. And that might be an indication that, there's going to be a need for that because there's a shortage. So there's, hundreds of different tools out there that can kind of help you put together information. But this is something, I have been asked to do several times in recent months. And so I figured I would create a quick video just to show some people what are some basic tools where you could go and pull some of this information together. If you're not quite sure where to start, if maybe you've been driving past a location, you're like, I think that might be a good location for this type of business I want to open. This might be a good way to validate that. So, if you've got questions out there, the things I'll offer to you guys, especially if you're considering opening or starting a small business and you think you're going to need financing, we offer a free SBA review. So you can just go to our website, go to this free expert SBA review. If you want some free guidance on, if your business has got a decent shot for that. If you have questions about your own market feasibility report and you want some help or some pointers, feel free to reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. You're also welcome to drop a comment down below and we answer questions down there as well. So hopefully this is helpful. We wish you the best of luck and let us know if you've got some questions.